Hi, my name is Christopher P. Sloan, and I'd like to talk to you about my Extinction Series. I started a series of paintings in 2020 that were meant to raise awareness of the ongoing biological crisis in nature, which some are calling the sixth mass extinction. We're losing so many animals that some scientists predict that by 2100 we might have 50% fewer species on the planet than we have today. So it's a really big crisis, and one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it is I do love wildlife. I've always been an animal person, but there's also a human issue here, which is that when you talk about a mass extinction, you're talking about a biological holocaust. And when I was at National Geographic as the art director and paleontology editor, I learned a lot about the past mass extinctions. You know, these things were huge. You know, 70% of the life on the planet gone, 90% of the life in the oceans gone, dinosaurs gone. We don't know yet whether this is a mass extinction that we're in yet or not, but it's certainly on a scale that that threatens to be at that level. But it's the rapidity that is worrying a lot of people. These past mass extinctions took thousands, even millions of years to play out. What we're seeing now is, it's happening within, decades or spans of hundreds of years. So anyway, it's a big concern, and of course the real problem is that when you upset the world's ecosystems, there's ecological collapse, and as I said, biological holocaust is a result, and that means trouble for humans because we just had a lot of difficulty, controlling a potent flu virus. What if there was a bunch of other deadly stuff out there that we'd never seen before? And several at a time. Our ability to deal with it might very well be maxed out. And that's a virus that's affecting humans. What if viruses like the ones that jump from wildlife to pigs and poultry were to get out of control? You know that most of the mammalian biomass on this planet is domestic livestock. I think it's something like if you took non-human mammals and compared, in other words, livestock, and compared that to the biomass of wildlife, it's something like 93% livestock to 7% wildlife. That's just a shocking amount. So just imagine if that 93% got some disease. What happens to the world's food supply? So that's just an example of how we can't fool around with this ecological crisis, and obviously it's connected to climate change because it's not just about the animals. In the end, it's about us. It's about the planet. It's about our survivability. And that's actually why I'm holding this skull, because I wanted to remind people of how this is a human problem. Like, if you don't care about animals, fine, but everybody cares about humans, and this is how we're going to end up. We're going to end up like this extinct species here if we don't do something about it. So let me talk a little bit about the paintings I did. Right here is one of them. This is a Javan rhinoceros, and the series of extinction paintings all had to do with animals that were in a highly endangered status, usually on the critical list. Javan rhinoceroses like that. Their numbers are down to the tens or hundreds. There are just not very many of them at all. And you can see two things here. I've taken two images and I've sort of distorted them, melted them together, kind of like one of those double-headed lambs or something. It's supposed to be disturbing, and it's not supposed to be disturbing because the animals are ugly or something like that. The distortion is supposed to be a metaphor for how something's really wrong with nature. So that's what I'm getting at here. And if you look closely at the eyes, all the animals in this series are looking right at us, because I want people to engage with the fact that, like, the world is looking at us, the animals are looking at us. We're the ones who need to do something about this crisis. The animals can't do anything. We're the ones causing the crisis. Here's a painting of an Amur leopard. Again, numbers down into, a couple hundred, something like that, if that. This image is similar to the Javan rhinoceros. It's really a double image. It's two animals combined. There's one coming in from the left there and one coming in from the right. And that's why it looks a little off. You look at it and something's wrong. I want people to have that reaction. What's wrong with that picture? And again, the eyes are looking right at you. This is a California condor. Condors have been endangered since I was a little kid. They're one of the first animals to be listed as endangered, and they still aren't doing very well. And one of the reasons is that a lot of these large animals that are endangered don't reproduce at a very high rate, so it's hard to replace individuals that are dying at an abnormal rate, and that's exactly what's happening today. The extinction rate is 100 to 1,000 times higher than the normal rate of extinction. So animals are dying at a much faster rate than normal. This is a painting of a saola, a beautiful little antelope-like animal from the hills of Laos and Vietnam. This was just discovered in the 80s or 90s. It was unknown to science prior to that, and unfortunately, one of the reasons was because it was so rare. By the time this animal was found, it was already listed as critically endangered. So there's not many of them at all. And again, it's two animals. One's coming in from the left and one's coming in from the right. And they're sharing an eye, and that eye is reflecting you. And I love the way the graphics worked out here. The beautiful auburn color and the stark whites and blacks create an interesting pattern. And finally, here I have a painting of the northern white-cheeked gibbon. This is also from Vietnam, up near the Chinese border. Beautiful animals. The male is black with these bright white cheeks, and the female is this beautiful ochre color. Females almost glow. They're quite beautiful. And because it's a male-female mating pair that I'm depicting here, I wanted to show a juvenile down here, a baby, because, as I said before, it's all about reproduction, inability to reproduce fast enough to replace lost members of the species. And this painting, again, is two individuals who are sharing an eye, and that distortion, again, is a metaphor for the distortion in nature. So you can see I'm passionate about wildlife. I'm passionate about raising awareness of this mass extinction, something that could be the 6th mass extinction. That's a pretty horrifying thought. And again, we're talking about a biological holocaust that could destroy not only wildlife, but humanity as well. So it's quite a serious crisis. If you're an artist out there and are already doing artwork about the extinction crisis, that's great. I'm joining you enthusiastically. If you're an artist that hasn't been passionate about a cause, I suggest this is a good one, since it is huge and affects us all, and really immediate action is really necessary. So right now it's a situation where we as artists are, one voice here, one voice there. We're all trying to make as much noise as we can, but we could really use a lot more voices. So if you're interested at all in doing artwork about the extinction crisis, please join us, because we could use your voice.